When a woman likes you, one of the very first giveaways isn't in what she says, or even what she does in an obvious sense. It's in the way her energy changes when you are around. This shift may be subtle to the untrained eye, but it is almost impossible for her to hide completely. Human beings are energetic creatures, and whether we realize it or not, we broadcast our emotions through the energy we carry in our presence. When attraction is present, it disrupts her usual rhythm. She may try to compose herself, to act as though nothing is different, but her tone of voice, her enthusiasm, her attentiveness, these things begin to change, often in ways she herself may not consciously notice. Think about it. When someone steps into a room whom we admire, or someone who excites us, it alters the atmosphere of our own being. We stand a little taller, we become more alert, our voice carries a new vibrancy. It's not rehearsed, it's instinctive. For a woman, that same shift happens when she likes a man. Suddenly, the conversations become more animated, her laugh comes a little more easily, and her eyes brighten in your presence. It's as though her energy tunes itself to you, and no matter how carefully she tries to conceal it, her natural reactions betray the attraction. Now, the danger is that many men overlook this because they expect a grand declaration, something overt, something undeniable. But attraction is often quiet, especially in its earliest stages. A woman may not openly say, "I like you," but her energy says it for her. She may speak with everyone else in a normal, measured tone, but when addressing you, there's a spark, a rise in warmth, even a touch of nervousness. She may suddenly appear more alive, more engaged, as though your presence has activated something within her. On the other hand, sometimes this shift in energy takes the form of restraint. Instead of bursting with enthusiasm, she may grow quieter, more thoughtful, as though she's carefully navigating the waters of her own feelings. This, too, is a sign of attraction, the effort to regulate her emotions and hide her vulnerability. In either case, the truth is the same. Her energy changes around you. From a psychological standpoint, this makes perfect sense. Attraction triggers a release of dopamine, which heightens focus and pleasure, making someone appear more animated and alive. It also activates a level of nervous tension, which explains why her behavior may fluctuate between excitement and composure. She's not always aware of this biochemical reaction, but you will notice the ripple effect in how she relates to you. The key here is awareness. If you want to recognize genuine interest, don't just listen to her words. Observe the shifts in her presence. Does she seem more attuned when you're near? Does her mood subtly rise or shift the moment you enter a room? Does she unconsciously mirror your tone or match your pace in conversation? These are not accidents. They are subconscious cues, fragments of energy revealing what the mind may be too cautious to admit aloud. The mistake most men make is dismissing these subtle signals as coincidence. But life itself often speaks through subtleties. If you wait only for bold declarations, you may miss the quieter truths unfolding right in front of you. A woman's energy, when she likes you, cannot be completely disguised. It is the one thing she cannot fully control because it is tied to the heart, and the heart always leaks into the atmosphere. So pay attention, not just to what she says, but to what her energy confesses in silence. Because in those small shifts, in those sparks of liveliness or nervous restraint, you'll find the first undeniable proof of her interest. And once you learn to recognize that, you'll never again confuse indifference with attraction. When a woman likes you, one of the clearest indicators is the way she directs her attention. Attraction sharpens focus. No matter how crowded the room is, no matter how many distractions surround her, her attention will always find its way back to you. This is not something she can easily disguise, because human beings are wired to prioritize what matters most to them. We give energy, time, and mental space to the things, or the people, that carry weight in our hearts. And when she likes you, you become one of those priorities. This kind of attention is not just about staring or locking eyes. it is far more layered. It shows up in the way she remembers the small details you've shared, things you might have mentioned casually and forgotten about, but that she stored away because it mattered to her. It's in the way she follows up with you, not in a mechanical sense, but with genuine curiosity. She recalls the project you were stressed about last week, the family situation you mentioned months ago, or even the offhand comment you made about your favorite food. These fragments become significant to her because you are significant to her. And in remembering, she signals her interest without ever having to say the words directly. What's fascinating is how selective this kind of attention becomes. She may engage politely with others, but with you, there is a heightened awareness, a deliberate presence. Her responses to you are different, longer, more thoughtful, filled with more energy. If you watch closely, you'll notice that she doesn't just hear you, she listens. There's a difference. Hearing is passive, listening is active, intentional, and invested. When she listens, she isn't just absorbing your words, she's engaging with your world, trying to connect dots, seeking ways to understand you better. From a psychological standpoint, this behavior ties back to what is known as selective attention. When someone feels emotionally invested, their brain unconsciously filters out the noise and focuses more strongly on the subject of their interest. In simpler terms, you become the signal in the noise, the center of gravity in the space around her. Even if she tries to play it cool, her focus gives her away, because focus is not something that can be manufactured indefinitely. It must be genuine. Now, here's where many men get it wrong. They think that if a woman is not constantly talking to them or showering them with attention, she must not be interested. But attention doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. A woman may not dominate conversations with you, but she will show her interest in the way her eyes seek yours across a room, in the way she orients her body toward you, even when she's speaking with someone else, or in the way she checks in with you quietly to make sure you're okay. These understated gestures are forms of attention too, and often they're the ones that carry the deepest sincerity. The important thing is to recognize the difference between polite attentiveness and genuine, invested focus. Politeness is surface level, a social obligation. Genuine attention is consistent and personal. It's rooted in a deeper desire to connect. When she tunes into you in this way, she is revealing something important, that you stand out to her, that your presence shifts her priorities, that you are someone she cannot simply treat as ordinary. So if you ever find yourself questioning her feelings, pay less attention to the big performances and more attention to the quiet consistencies. Notice how she follows up, how she remembers, how she turns her attention toward you in moments when she doesn't have to. Because when a woman truly likes you, her attention becomes a mirror of her heart. Another behavior that a woman simply cannot hide when she likes you is the way she initiates small opportunities to connect with you. This may not always come in the form of bold declarations or dramatic gestures. Often, it's subtle, understated, almost disguised as coincidence. But behind these coincidences is intention. When someone is drawn to you, they will naturally look for ways to close the gap between you and them. It might be as simple as starting casual conversations, finding excuses to ask for your help, or creating situations where your paths intersect. What makes this behavior particularly revealing is the effort it requires. Human beings are inherently economical with their energy. We don't invest time and effort where our heart isn't inclined. So, when she takes those extra steps, when she sends you a message just to share something that reminded her of you, when she lingers a little longer in conversation, or when she deliberately includes you in her plans, it's not random. It's a reflection of desire working quietly beneath the surface. Sometimes these gestures may feel ordinary on the surface, and that's precisely why many men miss them. A woman may say, "I was just in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by." Or, I wanted to get your opinion on this. It sounds casual, almost throwaway, but in truth, it's often a way of testing the waters, creating a low-risk opening to engage with you. If she didn't care, she wouldn't bother. The so-called small gestures are often the clearest evidence of a larger feeling at play. Psychologically, this behavior is rooted in what's known as proximity seeking. It's something you see in both children and adults alike. When we value someone, we instinctively try to stay close to them to create opportunities for interaction, even if we don't express the underlying emotion directly. It's not about what she says explicitly, but about what her actions consistently reveal. Her desire to bridge the space between you and her is, in itself, a language of attraction. There's also a deeper layer to this. By initiating small connections, she is not only expressing interest, but also inviting reciprocity. She is creating openings, leaving you space to step in and meet her halfway. Too often, men miss this subtle invitation because they're looking for something more overt, more obvious. But the truth is, most women are not wired to lay their feelings bare in the early stages. Instead, they create these safe, almost deniable forms of engagement, hoping you'll recognize the intent without forcing them to expose their vulnerability too soon. It's important to understand the difference between these genuine acts of connection and mere politeness. A woman being polite may engage when required, but she won't go out of her way to create interactions. When she likes you, though, you'll notice her effort isn't situational. It's consistent. She makes herself available in ways that aren't necessary. She reaches out when she doesn't have to, and she positions herself in your orbit without needing a reason. That consistency is the giveaway. If you pause and look back, you might notice how often she has appeared in your space, how frequently she's found ways to talk to you, or how subtly she has extended her presence in your life. These moments are her way of saying, without words, I want to be closer to you. And no matter how much she tries to mask it as coincidence or casualness, the underlying truth is always there. So, the next time you find yourself questioning whether she feels something for you, don't just wait for bold confessions. Pay attention to the little doors she opens, the small gestures of connection she makes, because in those gestures lies her unspoken truth. Attraction, after all, doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes, it whispers softly in the fabric of everyday interactions. And when you learn to hear that whisper, you begin to see that love often reveals itself, not in dramatic declarations, but in the quiet consistency of effort. One of the clearest behaviors that a woman cannot conceal when she likes you is the way her emotions subtly leak through in her responses to you. No matter how much she tries to appear composed, reserved, or indifferent, her emotional reactions will betray her interest. This is because attraction is not something that lives only in the mind. It spills over into the body, the tone of voice, and the small, almost unintentional shifts in behavior that reveal far more than words ever could. Think about it for a moment. We can control our words. We can control our facial expressions to a degree, but our nervous system is always telling the truth. When she lights up, when you walk into the room, when her energy shifts noticeably in your presence, or when she laughs just a little too easily at your jokes, you're witnessing her subconscious at work. These aren't deliberate acts of seduction. They're unfiltered signals of genuine attraction. Often, you'll notice her attention sharpening whenever you speak. She may remember small details from conversations, things you may have even forgotten you mentioned. That's not just attentiveness. It's a sign that she values what you say enough to store it, because on some level, your words matter more to her than those of others. She's emotionally invested in your presence and in the interactions you share. This emotional presence is something people cannot fabricate. It either flows naturally because they care, or it doesn't appear at all. Another revealing layer is how she responds when you're not giving her attention. Does she become quieter, as if she feels the absence of your focus? Does she suddenly reinsert herself into the conversation just to regain that spark of connection? These small shifts may seem trivial on the surface, but psychologically, they point to something deeper: the need for emotional closeness. When someone values your presence, the absence of it creates a kind of void they instinctively try to fill. Even her moments of nervousness are telling. Some women try to play it cool, but their body language gives them away. Fidgeting, adjusting her hair or clothes, glancing at you more often than necessary. These are signs of heightened awareness. You see, attraction increases self-consciousness. She becomes more aware of how she looks, how she sounds, how she appears to you. Because your opinion carries weight. That weight is the silent marker of emotional involvement. And this is where we touch on something profound: the paradox of hidden attraction. She may not tell you outright how she feels. She may even try to downplay it. But her emotions betray her through consistency. Every time she chooses to engage, every time her mood shifts around you, every time her attention gravitates toward your presence, she's showing what she may not yet be ready to say. It's the language of the heart spoken through the subtleties of behavior. This is why paying attention to emotional cues is so important. They are often the purest expression of interest because they bypass logic and conscious control. Words can deceive, but emotions, once revealed, rarely lie. A woman may attempt to mask her feelings with composure, but her reactions, her laughter, her nervousness, her attentiveness, are like cracks in the armor through which her truth inevitably escapes. So, if you want to understand whether she truly likes you, don't just listen to what she says. Observe how she feels around you. Notice the energy shift in her presence, the unspoken excitement in her responses, the small moments where she reveals more than she intended. Because at the end of the day, emotions are the most honest currency of human connection. And here's the truth worth reflecting on. People can hide their words, they can guard their expressions, but they cannot disguise what you make them feel. If she cannot contain her emotions in your presence, if her reactions consistently give her away, you're seeing the unfiltered evidence of attraction. Pay attention to those emotions because they will tell you everything you need to know. Another behavior that a woman cannot fully hide when she likes you is the way she seeks to create proximity, both physically and emotionally. This is not always obvious or dramatic. She may not openly declare, "I want to be near you," but her actions, often subtle and layered with intention, quietly reveal that desire. Human beings are wired for closeness with those they're drawn to, and attraction naturally expresses itself in the attempt to minimize distance. Notice the way she positions herself around you. Even in a crowded room, she may somehow drift closer, finding her way into your space without consciously planning it. It could be as small as choosing a seat near yours, standing a bit closer than necessary during conversation, or leaning in when you speak as though she doesn't want to miss a word. These micro movements communicate something profound. She wants to feel connected, and closeness is the body's instinctive way of achieving that. But proximity isn't only about physical space. It also reveals itself emotionally. When a woman likes you, she will search for ways to bridge the gap between you through personal exchanges. She might share small details about her life, stories she wouldn't tell just anyone, or vulnerabilities that hint at trust. What she's doing is signaling, "I want you to know me." This openness, even if wrapped in casual conversation, is a form of closeness. It is her way of breaking down the invisible walls that usually stand between people. What's fascinating here is the psychology behind it. Attraction has always been tied to the concept of investment. When someone invests their time, their energy, or their attention into another person, they are making a choice. That choice, to draw nearer rather than stay detached, is rarely meaningless. A woman who doesn't care will keep her distance. But a woman who does will seek opportunities, however small, to shrink that distance. And sometimes she does this in ways that almost seem unintentional, because the pull of attraction operates beneath conscious awareness. Another layer to this is the way she reacts when distance is created. For example, if you pull away slightly, does she lean back in? If you're busy or distracted, does she look for ways to regain your attention? These are not simply habits. They are indicators of her comfort being tied to closeness with you. Emotional and physical nearness matter to her, and when those are missing, she feels their absence. That in itself is a powerful sign. You may also observe that she uses excuses to connect. Perhaps she asks for your help with something trivial, brings up topics just to keep the conversation going, or finds reasons to interact even when it isn't strictly necessary. These actions might appear casual, but they serve a deeper purpose: maintaining proximity. They're her way of weaving you into her daily rhythm, ensuring that the connection doesn't fade. And here's the paradox worth noticing. She may try to mask her attraction by playing it cool, but her need for closeness betrays her. While she may never say directly, "I want to be near you," the consistent effort to orbit around your presence says it more clearly than words ever could. Closeness is not something people fake for long. It's either there because they feel drawn to you, or it isn't at all. This is why understanding proximity is so important. It strips away the layers of pretense and gets to the core of what she feels. People who like each other naturally want to be near one another. It's one of the most universal truths of human connection. When she keeps moving closer, when she seeks reasons to engage, when she reveals pieces of herself just to build emotional intimacy, she is showing you her interest in the clearest way possible. So reflect on this. Words can be rehearsed, and gestures can sometimes be disguised, but the desire for closeness never lies. If she is constantly finding ways to shrink the space between you, whether with her body, her words, or her emotions, she is telling you exactly how she feels. Pay attention, because in her effort to be near, she is giving you undeniable evidence of her attraction. One of the most undeniable behaviors a woman shows when she likes you, but tries to keep it hidden, is her attentiveness to the small details about you. This goes beyond casual politeness or friendliness. It's a deeper level of noticing and remembering, one that signals that her mind and emotions are engaged with you in ways she doesn't openly admit. When someone matters to us, they naturally occupy more space in our awareness. We tune in differently, we remember differently, and we respond differently. A woman who is drawn to you cannot help but let this show in her attentiveness. Think about it for a moment. She may recall something you said weeks ago, perhaps a passing comment you made without much thought. She may remember your preferences, like how you take your coffee, or the fact that you're not a morning person, or the story you once told about your childhood. These things might seem small on the surface, but the act of remembering them reveals where her focus lies. We don't retain random details about people we feel indifferent toward. We remember what matters to us, and what matters is what, or who, has captured our attention. This attentiveness is not only intellectual, but emotional. She may notice subtle changes in your mood, picking up when you're stressed or unusually quiet, even if others around you don't see it. That kind of emotional awareness isn't accidental. It comes from watching closely, caring deeply, and being invested enough to sense when something is off. It's her way of signaling that she is in tune with you, even if she hasn't said it outright. At a psychological level, this behavior speaks volumes. Attention is a currency of love and attraction. In a world full of distractions, where people barely listen to each other, someone choosing to focus on you consistently is a strong indicator of value. She's not just hearing your words, she's listening to your essence, your stories, your experiences. And whether she admits it or not, she is holding those things close because they matter to her. There is also an interesting paradox here. Sometimes she might disguise her attentiveness under casual remarks, as if she doesn't want to give herself away. For example, she might jokingly bring up something you told her weeks ago, or tease you with a reference only you would recognize. On the surface, it looks lighthearted, but beneath that humor lies proof that she has been paying attention all along. She hides the depth of her noticing under the mask of playfulness, because revealing it directly could feel too vulnerable. This level of attention also reflects a quiet form of care. When she remembers what matters to you, when she notices what you need before you even ask, she is showing you that she values your comfort and your happiness. Again, it may not always be grand gestures. It could be something as simple as reminding you of an appointment you mentioned, offering encouragement at the exact moment you need it, or checking in on something you thought she had forgotten. These are her ways of saying, without words, "You are important to me." The deeper truth is this attraction always finds a way to express itself, even when hidden. It seeps through the cracks in how a person behaves, in the way they notice, in the way they care. A woman who consistently remembers and pays attention to you is revealing far more than just good manners. She is showing emotional investment. She is showing that, whether she admits it or not, you occupy a significant place in her mind. So here's the reflection to carry with you. Words can be silenced, gestures can be restrained, but attention is never wasted on someone we don't care about. If she remembers the little things, if she notices what others miss, if she is tuned in to you even when you aren't seeking her attention, then you already have the answer you're searching for. Her attentiveness is her confession, spoken not through her lips, but through her actions. Pay attention to what she remembers, because in her remembering, she is revealing her heart.